into it. Succession, the finale, aired on Sunday night, and it was delicious. I thought it was great. But there is disagreement as to how delicious, or if indeed it is delicious. One person who feels passionately about the fact that maybe it missed is the talk show host out of Southern California, the big blowtorch of Southern California's KFI Radio. And he joins us now. His show is called Later with Mo Kelly from 7 to 10 every night on KFI. Mo Kelly, everybody. Hi, Mo Kelly.
It is a pleasure. Oh, it's great to see you. First time meeting you, Kim. Thank you for having me on. Mark, I want that tote bag in the background. And yes, and someone just say free burrito. Can I get a free burrito? I'm not asking for much.
Yeah. Mo's already after the merch and the food. I love it. I love somebody with a plan, you know. And this guy from Turner Classic Movies and the CBS Sunday Morning. How about it for Ben Mankiewicz? Yeah. Ben, maybe we can interest you in a tote bag as well, you know. It's like getmarkmerch.com. You'll have to buy it like everybody else. I don't have a freebie for
have
first appearance.
I have more tote bags than anyone else in America. I just do. It's a fact. Yeah.
Well, Mo, maybe you would like one of Ben's tote bags as well.
Oh man, if I could find somebody to take some tote bags, that would be the best. Yeah. How many do you want? 40? Yeah.
Look, free is all I want. Free is what I need.
Again, I love a guy with a plan. Well, I loved the finale to Succession. The final season that now my friends, there will be spoilers. So if you haven't seen it and you want to see it, now would be a time to, turn us down. The final season brought a couple of key moments. First of all, you saw Logan Roy die. I mean, that was something that really was very well protected in terms of the word getting out. And it was a huge inflection moment in the season, and it started the scattering for, who would be the successor or what combination of kids would make up the successors. Give me your sense of the season, Mo, and then why you were disappointed by the finale.
I think that the season did suffer from the recognizable and palpable absence of actor Brian Cox. Yes, there were some cameos, if you will, some retconning of his presence from previous videos, but Brian Cox is such a masterful actor. His presence loomed large, not only over the series, but also hanging over the heads of the characters. And I think I missed him in that. Yes, it's called Succession. We knew that we were going to get there, but the season for me was a bit uneven, and I felt like they were running out of story to tell in some of those mid-season episodes.
Ben?
First of all, what I say here, I just don't want this to affect any tote bag arrangement that I have with me. I see this as an opportunity to offload many tote bags at no charge. I think Mo couldn't be more wrong. I think this is the best show in the history of television. As you know, Mark, I spent a great deal of time ordering the shows, ranking them. And I believe this. Well, let me put it this way, because I don't like hyperbole. It is in the top tier, and it is the first show that I felt might be better than The Sopranos. And I just thought it ended spectacularly well. I'll concede that to what Brian Cox said, to what Mo said, and that Brian Cox actually supports. Maybe they killed him a little early. Maybe that's an episode 5 death and not an episode 3 death. But I mean, again, we're talking about this brilliant piece of art. And it feels a little to me like I liked Catcher in the Rye, but I thought chapter 18 was weak. I think we're missing the point when we get into something this great, and we can talk about it and celebrate it. But I don't like nitpicking the creative decisions that these people made. But of course, was Brian Cox missed? Yeah, definitely. Of course he was. But I think that enables us as viewers to feel what it must have felt like at Waystar for everybody who worked there, for everybody in that inner circle, and of course for the kids too.
The scramble, Mo, it was pretty great to watch the scramble, wasn't it? I mean, once Logan was gone, you began to see everybody take on the quiet politics and the heavy-handed politics of their future.
Yeah, and I don't think maybe my comments were misconstrued. I don't think there's this age-old debate. If the ending, if a show doesn't stick the landing, or if a movie doesn't stick the landing, does that ruin the TV show or movie? I would say no. I mean, I'm in agreement that Succession is probably one of the greatest television shows of all time. It just left a bad taste in my mouth at the end. And we're quibbling about degrees of perfection here, not whether it was a bad show. And for me, I needed some ends to be tied up. And I think there's a common thread. How Meg had mentioned The Sopranos. I didn't care for The Sopranos ending either. And maybe it comes from expectations of what we want out of a series finale as opposed to a season finale. A series finale for me, I wanted to at least tie up some ends. So when I walk away from that last episode, I at least have some sort of certitude that I know what's going to happen in the next 6 months of a character's life or so. We didn't get that with The Sopranos. We didn't get that with Westworld. We didn't get that with Succession. I felt that at the end of this episode, well, it was just business as usual. It was chaos as usual. It was Game of Thrones, to throw in another HBO show, as usual. And they're just going to be fighting over the throne. Tom sits on the throne right now, but he may not be by tomorrow because we know Lucas backstabs everybody.
Well, let me just say this. I thought that we do know what the next 6 months is going to be like. The kids are all outcasts now, right? They've lost this jewel. Tom is a puppet of Lucas, and he's okay being a puppet. That was the idea. You know, he's just looking for his little safe place in the sun. He has power, but his power is completely defined by Lucas. And Lucas is looking for a puppet because Lucas is a puppeteer. I think one of the things he even talks about, or it was made clear, is that he finds Tom attractive because of what we know about Tom, and even what Shiv said about Tom.
Yeah, Mark, what to that point, I mean, Lucas said he has enough ideas. I don't want any more ideas. I mean, he literally wants somebody, and Tom said it, who grinds, right? Who is so riddled with anxiety and what other people will think of him that he never stops trying to compensate for that fear by pleasing. So he's the ideal person to lead this company. And I think just this perfect sort of stand-in representative of what success so often means in corporate America, right? Which is just a proximity to celebrity, a proximity to power. That's all Tom wanted. That's all he needed. I thought that was such an interesting character from the start, and a believable arc for him to end where he ended up. And I think the more I sit with it, a believable decision by Shiv to not, I mean, essentially she had a choice, right? Her brother or Tom. And she, of course, she chose her husband. And that thing Tom said earlier in the episode on the phone, when she was getting on the plane, I can't remember it exactly, and I haven't rewatched it yet. I will. But she said to him, he said to her, essentially, boy, you can't stand to lose, meaning them, to be a failure at something. And it's almost like she was deciding, no, I'm not a failure at my marriage. I'm not. I am. Look, we're married and we're happy and we're going to have a baby. When obviously none of that is true, except they will hopefully have a healthy child.
Go ahead, Ben. Go ahead.
This is where I think it comes down to perception, because I don't know that Shiv is any better proximity or close proximity to power, because Lucas knows that he backstabs Shiv and Shiv is going to come for him. We know that Tom has a nasty taste in his mouth about Shiv. Tom doesn't know that baby is his. I don't know if Shiv knows if that baby is his. We don't know. And when she put her hand on top of Tom's, I don't know if that was like a warm invitation that they were going to reconcile. Tom even said something to the effect of, I don't know if we've said too much or we've done too much to hurt each other. I don't know that these intentions are going to last any length of time. Lucas has messed over his own staff. He's messed over everyone in the Roy family. So I don't know that he would trust Shiv beyond the fact that he wants to sleep with her.
Right, which, by the way, was a wild little piece of dialogue where he gives that up. That was not a warm moment in the car. There was no warmth there. It was a cold agreement, it seemed. Right.
No, and Tom putting his hand out upside down, like take my hand. It was a 21st century kiss the ring.
Kiss the brass ring. Yeah.
Yeah, and she doesn't, and they don't clench. I mean, that's not an accident that we didn't see them grip their hands together. So No, I think we know exactly what that relationship is going to be like. It has no chance of success. It's a giant failure. And I think Shiv is far worse off. She's not even remotely close to power. And she couldn't stand the thought that her power is through this, this stand-in for greatness, right? I mean,
Right.
Tom is Tom is literally George Clooney's stand-in, right? I mean, that's all he is in life is, hey, Tom, would you stand there under the light? We got to make sure the shine's right. You're about Clooney's height, man. That'll be good. Like he's not real. None of what he has is real. He'll get the money and he'll have a nice car and people will pick him up every day, but he doesn't have real power. And Shiv was at least close to it before and was sort of making her own way. Now, to me, I don't know where she goes. I'm interested in it. I have no problem not knowing the answer. I imagine she's the one most likely to rebuild and have some modicum of a successful career, whereas it's going to be much harder for Kendall, and I suspect completely impossible for Roman.
See, that's where I think the episode fell apart for me, with great respect, because Shiv made that calculation in the boardroom. She knows that if she does not give her vote, even though she despised the idea of Kendall as king, she knew that it would be handing over the company and also that power dynamic to someone that she probably despised, because she knew Tom was the pick before they sat down in the boardroom.
They talked, no question.
Right.
There was a Tom Shiv conversation we didn't see, right? Of course.
So that's what bothered me. It's like, okay, so you at least you have a brother for life, but you don't have this husband or marriage for life. You know where that is going, and it seemed like you're actually further away from power than if Kendall were the king.
Well, let me jump. That's why. So I think you're definitely right. I think she's definitely further away from power than if Kendall were there. The reason that I believe that she made that decision was because of Logan and not because of anything that he wanted, because he has poisoned these children. I mean, ultimately, what we saw there was the effects of being raised for whatever it is, between 35 and 43 years between the three of them, of this hideous, poisonous man, that she actually sabotaged herself, because what she was not going to let happen was she was not going to let her brother win. She couldn't stomach it. And there's, of course, even though it was an awful, heated, terrible fight to witness, glorious from a dramatic point of view, yeah, everything they said was totally reasonable. You killed a kid, and then, oh, wait, you lied about killing. I mean, either way, probably not fit to run a major company. But I see it as that they just can't stand together. They're incapable of it, that their father was so awful and their mother didn't help, that they are so badly damaged that she made this decision, which doesn't suit her, which, of course, is the history of all of them, a series of decisions which doesn't suit them.
Yeah, it is interesting, Mo, that they really do have in their DNA, I mean, maybe almost literally in the family upbringing of these kids, this sort of the aggression and the double cross and the pact that they'll make with the devil. All of these things exist in them as a result of their upbringing, wouldn't you say? I mean, that is what I thought was the magic, and why we wanted to like certain characters from time to time, I think, as an audience, and just never really could, because none of them had, it seemed, redeeming qualities.
It was Shakespearean, I would say. The fact that Logan basically said, no, he did say, and he was right, that they are unserious people. He raised them and pitted them against one another every step of the way. One day, Kendall thought he was going to be the successor. Then Shiv thought that she was going to be the successor. Then he became close to Rome near the end, and Rome thought he was actually going to be the successor, when none of them ever were. And he, I think, raised them to not be the successor, to almost like, okay, I'm going to teach you a little bit about running the kingdom, but not everything that you need to run the kingdom to maintain his power through his death. Now, the sad part about it is, I don't think Logan Roy ever wanted that company to be outside the family's control on some level. Maybe he envisioned all three of them ruling as a triumvirate in some twisted, sordid way, but we'll never know.
I think he pitted them against each other because, I don't know, he thought it was fun, because he never trusted anybody his entire life, and he didn't get along with his brother, and he didn't know how people, He didn't know the benefits of sticking with people. He's the most loathsome character on a show full of loathsome characters, because I'm not sure he ever showed any real humanity. I think this is what it is to have Logan as your parent. I think I just want to say one thing real quick. That first of all, I think that they were all done a favor, right? I mean, I know that Jesse Armstrong said that this is going to be the defining moment in Kendall's life. He can make it an interesting and a successful moment, right? If he's capable of it, right? Because first of all, he'd never succeed. I mean, cable is falling apart. Gojo's not going to work. It's a day. I mean, that business model is in trouble. And yes, he might have saved it, but he also would always be seen as the kid who got the job because it was his dad's, right? Now he can go off and do something, and he's got $500 million to do it. Like, he's going to be fine, right? We don't need to worry about these guys. They were all freed. So that's one hand. I don't know whether they'll ever take advantage of it, but they're all free now of the awfulness of a guy who, in Jeremy Strong's word, in Kendall's words, he made me hate him and then he died, right? That's sort of how he raised him. And then lastly, I think there was too much focus in general on who gets the throne, to go back to Mo's wise Game of Thrones reference. I mean, that's interesting, and that's the thing they had to resolve, and that's the thing they did resolve. The story was not which kid is going to lead it. I never thought there was any chance of any kid leading it except Kendall. This story, set up from the beginning, was, will Kendall get it? Will Kendall lead this company? That was it. There were all these other little side things going on, and Shiv and Roman had a key role, but the whole issue was about Kendall. It was really about the eldest boy and his dad, right? It was that story, and I think they finished it beautifully and tragically and awfully, and I'm so disappointed that we won't see it anymore, but so pleased that it's just sort of, to me, this perfect 40 hours of heightened drama.
He wasn't the eldest boy, and I think Connor probably is the only one who ended up happy. Is the irony of it all.
That I'm glad you mentioned Connor, because I was just going to say here in our last couple of minutes, the one odd character that I felt at times I really enjoyed his plot line and the arc associated with Connor. At some time during when I'd watch, I'd find it annoying. I'd find it like I'm way into the other three. I know that's blasphemous to say, but
no, I think it's because that's how Logan felt about him. He was not. I mean, of course, Kendall considers himself the eldest boy because those are the only three kids that mattered, right? Yeah. I mean, Connor was in a different. Yeah, he's technically the eldest, but nobody. So I always thought, like, could I hang out with who would I like to spend time with in the Roy family of the kids? And Roman would obviously be fun. Right. He would say something awful, and probably racist, definitely sexist, and you'd have to end the night. Right. Shiv. Yeah, I could spend some time with Shiv. I think we all understand that. And she's super smart and interesting also. Right. And Kendall would be interesting. I couldn't, for obvious reasons. He's a super, like Jeremy Strong, this intense but interesting guy. I couldn't spend 10 seconds with Connor Roy. I mean, I hated that guy, loathed him more than any other character, because he wasn't really harmless, because like Elon Musk, he could have done something good with his power, and he just chose not to.
There was a blissful ignorance to Connor. He wasn't self-aware. He wasn't all that worldly. He wasn't all that intelligent in an intellectual sense. And I think that shielded him from his biggest issue was that daddy didn't choose him. Daddy didn't love him. Daddy didn't embrace him or his mother. Not to diminish it, but I think that was his greatest failing, if you will, or regret. Yeah, and that's not a lot.
Yeah, I don't think it was blissful ignorance. I think it was blissless ignorance, which, by the way, is a phrase that we all ought to start using. Yeah.
Yes. But, guys, I love kicking it around. I got wrapped up in it in such a big way. I'm going to rewatch. I'll tell you, it's interesting. Mo, you mentioned Westworld. I never saw that. So I guess at some point, maybe I'll jump on the West. How many seasons was that? 3, I think? Or?
4. Okay. I love HBO shows. I despise HBO series finales. It seems like they can't ever stick the landing.
Well, it is in everybody's defense. It is so hard, right? It is
Yeah.
so hard to end a great piece of art. Everybody who's written, and I haven't, but everybody who's written a novel, everybody who's written a show, it's hard to end. And after this, after this long, particularly hard to end. The longer it gets, I suspect, the harder it is to end it. I think they did a great job, but I like The Sopranos ending. I like Lost ending. But it is hard. It's super hard.
The one thing that was interesting to me about the ending here in our last minute is that now reading about it, it was predetermined how it would end. And that's why a lot of these things, as you go back and watch it again, make so much sense. That distinguishes it from other hit series. I'm thinking of, for example, Breaking Bad. The stuff I was reading about Breaking Bad suggesting, and this is also a super hot series, and it was widely viewed as like a breakout kind of thing. They didn't know how they were going to end that. They had so many loose ends. They got everybody in a hotel room daily for like 12 days, and they tried to work out how to tie all these things together. So the writing process of what you're talking about, Ben, how they do it, and it just and coming up with a clean landing can be difficult, challenging, and in this case, maybe it was aided by the fact that and again, this is me speaking, Mo, I know you felt like it might have missed, but by the fact that it was predetermined, they had a sense, a strategy all along as to how it was going to end.
I didn't read that it was all along. I read that it became clear for a while that Tom was going to get this job in some way. But I don't think it was from the beginning. I think it became clear to them. I didn't get a time frame. I certainly sensed like by the end of season 3, they were like, I think we know how this is gonna come together. That's how I read it, but maybe I'm mistaken.
The name, his name is the same name as a guy in baseball history.
Bill Wambsgans, who had turned the unassisted triple play in the 1920 World Series for the Indians. Of Major League Baseball's, I think 13 or 14, I might have that wrong, but it's under 20 unassisted triple plays. He's the only outfielder to turn one. The rest have all been turned.
Well, can you read anything into that? Can you read anything into his name? Like, would that suggest that he would be the winner as they conceived it?
Right, because he took out 3 people at once by himself. Like, so that was that great theory. It was on the internet recently, but it turns out it's been a theory for a while. Like, as soon as his name came up, people pointed that out. People associated with the show were like, no. No, that's not. Come on. Yeah.
Oh, so much for that then.
Yeah,
okay,
also, they're all
great.
English. There's no way they know who turned.
Oh, that's true. I forgot.
I don't know.
Mo, love you on the radio. Love you here. Come visit again. You can catch Mo Kelly at later with Mo Kelly on KFI Radio. Yeah, good stuff, buddy. And
appreciate you,
Ben. You CBS Sunday mornings and also on TCM. Continue great work. Thanks. Please visit again as well.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Mo. Great talking to you.
Okay.
Thank you, Matt.
Good stuff. See you guys. Yeah. Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.